deep breath and say, I guess we're doing this Shabbat thing. I imagine a lot of us can share the feeling of having maybe tumbled into this space just a little bit. And whether it's because you've had a stressful week or a joyful week, whether it's because you're buzzing from a high of anticipation and excitement, or maybe you're coming into the space feeling heartbroken or a little lost or a little lonely. I imagine a lot of us are arriving here saying, I really need to take a little bit, I think a big bit of a breath. Let's take a breath together. The beauty of Shabbat is that it's actually available to all of us, no matter how we enter this space. So whether you're coming in with a full heart or feeling a bit emptied by this week, whether you know Hebrew or have never encountered Hebrew before in your life, whether you know the melodies that we're singing or don't know the melodies that we're singing, whether you've been to Mishkan a million times or this is your first time in this space with us, you have exactly what you need to help us create this space here together. Is there anybody here for the first time? Amazing. Welcome, folks. Hello. We're going to pick on you later. We're going to pick on you later lovingly. There's the Hebrew on the left with transliteration, that's Hebrew and English characters. On the far left, there's the translation. There is commentary if you want to get lost in that. You can also just close the book. You don't need the book. You can just listen, you can hum along. Tonight is Shabbat Shira. It's a special Shabbat in the calendar. It's a Shabbat where we read about the Israelites singing this special song once they cross the Sea of Reeds and experience freedom for the first time in over 4 centuries on the other shore. As they break out into joyous song, and this particular Shabbat, when we read these passages in the Torah, is a Shabbat of songs. I'm very grateful that we have an extremely talented group of people helping us lead ourselves in song. But we also need each and every one of you. So if you are a beautiful singer, I want you to sing loudly. If you are a terrible singer, I want you to sing loudly. This is a all voices welcome space, because that's how we create the space here together. It's not meant to be a perfect space, because it's perfect the way it is with each of you here, how you're in the space, what you're able to bring. So let's create this Shabbat experience together. Sound good? Yes. We're going to be weaving our way through the Siddur here. Sometimes we'll be singing aloud, sometimes we'll be saying the words of chant, and sometimes we'll be silence. Just find yourself wherever you might be on the page at the moment. On page 2. The sea is yours and you created it, your hands fashioned the land. Ki hu Eloheinu v'nachnu amarto. Make our way to the bottom of the page. Arba'im shana akud bedor va'omar am to'e levavhem vehem lo yadu drachai asher nishbati ve'api im yivon el menuchati. Page 3. Adonai, shir chadash, shir
lahem venokem alalilotam romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehakodsho ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. I invite you to rise as you're able. We turn to page 7. Seated for just a moment. We're going to turn to the bottom of page 7. So in a moment, we'll turn to page 8 for Lecha Dodi. Always love the image of Lecha Dodi. We picture Shabbat as if she is a bride walking into the room, and you'll notice if this is your first time at a Jewish service that we'll all rise and we'll stand in one direction, and somebody in the back there who's closest to the door, maybe Sammy who's on the edge, will go open the door for us. And we imagine, right, we picture this moment almost as if this beautiful bride enters the room carrying with her whatever it is that we need in this moment. We need this Shabbat, whether it's rest or grace or compassion or connection or joy. And one of the reasons I particularly love this song, this poem, this prayer, is because it helps us exercise a different modality of thinking of the divine. For some of us, God might be an immediately familiar and comfortable concept, and for other of us, that's actually not like an activating concept at all, right? That maybe what activates us more is something about human connection or fate or whatever is bigger than us, or the cosmos, or just the grandeur of the universe around us, or that unexplainable thing that we know is there but can't quite put a name to it, and God might seem just actually too short of a word, too small of a concept to capture it. And our tradition recognizes that by having us engage in different synonyms and metaphors and ways of speaking about this experience. And so God is one word that gets translated often from actually many different Hebrew words that try to capture those different ways that we might as individuals experience that thing. And so really the Siddur, this prayer book, is a toolkit to try to get us to engage in different ways with the bigness of the universe, the grandeur around us. And not in a way that is meant to make us feel insignificant, but in a way that's meant to make us feel like we can engage with it. And sometimes it is that standing at the edge of the sea, marveling at how small you are kind of moment, right? That might be the way that you actually feel that connection. I'm sure some of you, I see some nods in the room, right? We've had that experience. But that's the beauty of using these different words, is it helps us recognize that that thing is accessible to all of us in different ways and at different points in our lives. And so we're given a bunch of language to use so that we can think back to a time or experience, maybe recently, maybe more distant, where we have felt that kind of intimacy with the entire world. And so maybe the metaphor of the bride doesn't work for you. And so I'm going to ask you, when we stand at the end of the song, when we face that door, when we open it, that you picture whatever it is that helps you feel connected and part of something, and close and held and intimate and loved and seen, whatever that is, that person, that image, that moment, that experience, but that's what's walking through the door, to greet you, to welcome you into Shabbat. We're on page 8.
Shabbat nekavela shamor zachor bediborecha ishmianu el hamyuchad Adonai echad ushmo echad l'shem utiferet elitzilah lechadoti likra kala Shabbat nekavela Hadoti likra kala B'nei Shabbat nekavela Ikra Shabbat lechu v'necha Ki hi mekor habracha Merosh mikedem nesucha מעשה במחשבה תחילה לחדותי לקרא כלה בני שבת נקבלה לחדותי לקרא כלה בני שבת נקבלה מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה ומצאים מתוך אהבתך רב לשבת בעמק הבהר והוא יחמור עלייך חמלה לך דודי לקרא כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי.
We're on page 9.
לא תבושי ולא תקמי מה שוכחי ומה תהמי בך יחסו עניי עמי ונפלטה עיר על צילה לך דודי רק כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקרא כלה בני שבת נקבלה והיו למשיסה שוסייך ורחקו נבלייך יסיס עלייך אלוהייך כמסוס חתן על כלה לך דודי לקרא כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקרא כלה בני שבת נקבלה.
Yaminu Shmo Tifroti Ve'et Adonai Ta'ariti Hayat Ish Ben Farti Venismecha
Benagila Olecha Dodi
We rise as we're able. We face that door. Sam, I invite you to open the door. Who are you welcoming into the room right now? You can be seated for just a moment. Welcome again, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. I'm Rabbi Stephen. It's so nice to see you. Big shout out to Emma and Jenna and Erica and Sophia, led by Matthew, our amazing davening team, along with Stephen Chapman, who's joined us on the guitar to make this Shabbat Shira extra Shira. Okay, so now it's my time to embarrass the people here for the first time with great love and admiration. So if you're here for the first time, we want to get to know you. And the only way we can get to know you is if you stand up. This is an invitation. It's not a coercion, but it's a nice invitation because you will be showered with so much love and affection after services that people know who you are. So if you don't mind just standing up, we'll go around the room. If you want to introduce yourself, what's your name, where are you coming to us from, like what neighborhood in Chicago or out of town, and who brought you here? Why are you here? Like one sentence. I think I saw people, we're going to start right in front of me. There you go. Go ahead. Amazing. Welcome, Ben from River North. Nice to have you here. We'll go right.
My name's Kylie. I'm originally from DC. I live in the Loop. I'm also a song leader in the Jewish space, and Emma's my best friend.
Amazing. Welcome, Kylie. So nice to have you here. Amazing. Welcome, Ben from Logan. Nice to have you here. For those of you who don't know, we had like a is it singles mixer? Is that what we called it? It was a singles mixer. We had a singles mixer beforehand. It was bumping. It was bumping upstairs. We heard it all the way down here. Some great conversation happening. So we'll go with you. Amazing. Welcome, Angie from West Ridge. Nice to have you. Hello. Hi, Carter. Anybody behind me?
Hello, I'm Tomer. I'm from Israel. I came here to Northwestern to do gas studies, and I live in Evanston, and I was invited here for the Northwestern Hillel WhatsApp group.
Amazing, thank you. Tomer from Yisrael. Baruch haba.
Hello, I'm Ryan from Rogers Park, and here is my friend Tom.
Amazing. Welcome, Ryan from Rogers Park. It is a great idea. Thank you. We're so glad you're here. Why are you here? Amazing. We're so glad you're here. And it is not a bad thing to be from the suburbs. We have other suburbanites in the room. This is why, see, we have excitement. This is why we have people say where they're coming from the city, because you can make neighborhood connections all across Chicagoland. So did I miss anybody? And of course, welcome everybody online. It's so nice to have you here. Feel free to share the chat where you're coming to us from. Some announcements before we continue services. So next week we'll be on for Saturday morning. We'll be back at the Mishkan headquarters for a more relaxed, stripped down, chill service. And then the week after that, we'll be back here in this space for Friday night, which will be followed by Winter Comfort Feast, which I believe is a register in advance Winter Comfort Feast. These things do fill up, so it'd be really wonderful to have you come for services and also stay for a meal. So that's in 2 weeks. We have, I'm trying to figure out my handwriting here. Let's do this in order. We're gonna do this in order. Also, next Friday, that would be the 2nd of February, we have some of our small groups meeting. We have a refugee Shabbat with our migrant response team sponsoring that. We have a queer Shabbat potluck happening as well. And then that week, so not this coming week, but the week after, we're partnering with Yad at Anshe Emet, that's the young adult division at Anshe Emet, and the JCUA to do a housing and hot cocoa night on Thursday. They'll be preparing kits, I believe, for the night ministry and talking about the Bring Chicago Home campaign, and for people who want to learn more about that. We also have coming up a trans and non-binary youth group. Our trans and non-binary youth group is meeting regularly, and they're doing a dim sum lunch. So if you know of a trans or non-binary youth who'd like dim sum, we're doing that on the 10th. And also on the 10th, we're having Resetting the Table come in to facilitate a conversation, learn some active listening skills around having difficult conversations around Israel and Palestine. This is, at the moment, open for builders in the community. And I think we're already starting to build a wait list for the next round of Resetting the Table. So this is gonna be an ongoing project, but I just wanted to highlight that for folks as a way of we're engaging in courageous conversations in our community, and I'm really grateful for everyone who's showing up for those. The list is so long of things that we have coming up, so this is just the highlights. We have so many other things. Sign up for our newsletter. It only comes out on Wednesdays. We don't spam you. It's very well organized. It's the best way to stay on top of things that are happening in our community. Am I missing? I'm going to look at our staff in the room. Am I missing anything? Great. I think we should continue. We'll continue services. We're going to open up our Sederim to page 13. I invite you to rise as you're able. We turn and face east, which is towards the wall yonder. Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. You may be seated. Day and night, rolling away lights made for darkness, rolling darkness made for light. U'maver yom mevin laila, u'mavdil ben yom vin laila. Adonai tzavot shemo, el chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hamariv haravim. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael emcha ahavta. Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu, ubehem neger yomam v'layla, ve'avatcha al tasir mimenu l'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. cover our eyes and take one deep, intentional, Shabbat-filled breath for each word of the Shema. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושינתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לעוד על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך והאם שמות תשמעו ותותי. We'll make our way through page 16, 17. And therefore keep these words in your mind and your soul. Time your head as a reminder in between your eyes. Teach them to your children, speak them when you're home. Page 17. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם So in a moment, we're going to find ourselves at the bottom of page 18 for the song. This is actually an excerpt from the Song of the Sea, right? This song that we read in our Torah portion this week. It is a song of freedom. Right? It's a song that our ancestors sang once they reached safety on the other side of the Reed Sea, when they experienced as a people freedom for the first time after 4 centuries of enslavement. And the song is not just a remembrance of the past, it's also an expression of hope for the future and an orientation toward, I believe, our moral purpose in the world. This has been a time in our services over the past 100 plus days of thinking of those still in captivity in Israel and Gaza, of praying for their safe return, of thinking of those around the world who have no place to go, who are trapped in a situation or location with seemingly no way out. That we hold the possibility of change for them by looking back at our own history and seeing that change is possible because we've lived it. We've lived that change as a people many times, not just this time recorded in this particular song. There's so many in our own city at this moment who lack a place to go, lack a place to call their own. I've been so proud of the way that our social justice teams have lifted up different causes of meeting the needs of people who don't have a place to call home, who don't feel free to live their lives to the fullest ability, to the fullest extent of which they are deserving. You might have noticed the past couple months we had our migrant response team out there collecting coats and raising truly thousands of dollars of goods for the migrants in shelters around our city. And after services, you might be able to go chat with our local action team who's been working with the JCUA, the Jewish Council on Urban Affairs, on a variety of issues, but one of which is how we respond to the problem of homelessness in the city and ensure that unhoused individuals have a place to call their own. They've been working on a variety of initiatives, including the Bring Chicago Home campaign, and I encourage you to go learn more about it. They're an amazing set of builders gathered here behind me. Go and raise your hands. And they're here to discuss the issue with you. And this is by no way a prescriptive means of solving everything, but an opportunity to engage in learning and conversation with them. And so, and I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but bring your challenges to them as well. Go to learn, or if you want to get involved with them with this particular campaign or the other great campaigns that the JCUA is doing around our city to meet need in our city to ensure that we can truly live in a place that is an expression of that hope that's embedded within this song. That hope that we can be a free people ourselves alongside every other community that we coexist with in the city and in the world as well. Because it's Shabbat Shira, right? I know that's a bit of a heaviness to hold in a song, but we are a people of yes and. And so one of our obligations in recognizing the heaviness of the world around us is also to create space for joy and celebration of recognizing our own blessings, because by creating space for gratitude, we're also able to remind ourselves, reorient ourselves towards that world that we're working toward. And so this song's a banger, as was described by some members of our D team. So I'm gonna encourage you to rise as we're able. We don't normally stand during this song, but thank you, Debbie Friedman, for creating a moment of leaning into that joy. And the purpose of that, as I said, is to embody that, to bring it into ourselves so we can take that joy out into the work that we're doing to make the city, our communities, this world a better place.
Nora tehiloto sefele, Nora tehiloto sefele. Uchutecha ra'u banecha, ukeya lifnei Moshe. Ze Eli anu ve'amru, Ze Eli anu ve'amru. Their timbrels, follow Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. And Miriam was a weaver of a unique variety. The tapestry she wove was one which sang our history. With every thread and every strand she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she dances toward the light. And the woman dancing with their timbrels, follow Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. Miriam stood upon the shores and gazed across the sea. The wonder of this miracle she soon came to believe. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would pass to freedom and march to the promised land. The women dancing with their timbrels, follow Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam, the prophet of
Shabbat is not all about rest. Sometimes it's about cardio. I invite you to sit. We're going to take a moment. We're going to take a moment to think of those in need of healing in our community. And so if you're thinking of somebody in need of healing, if you want to bring their name to your heart, their image to your mind, and think of all the broken places in the world in need of shelter, that Sukkot Shalom, that shelter of peace. We're on page 19.
Eloheinu l'shalom.
through 28. You can use whatever words come to your heart or mind. When you feel like you've completed whatever prayer that needs to be said, you may be seated. Still taking time for your personal prayer, feel free to keep creating some space for yourself. So this week, the Torah opens with the Israelites gathered at the edge of the Reed Sea. They've just left Egypt, a mixed multitude, we are told, of former slaves and those who felt called to accompany them on their journey toward the promise of a different and a better future. They're tired, but hopeful. After a series of terrible plagues and several harrowing days of uncertainty, they are free. They're free. Something that they had been told, that they had told themselves was impossible for the past 400 years. And just as they begin to believe that this might be their new reality, Pharaoh and his army appear on the horizon. They are trapped between the Egyptians' violent desire for retribution and an impassable sea. So at God's command, Moses walks to the shore, lifts his staff, and splits the water in two. And so our ancestors walked, b'toch hayam b'yavasha, through the sea on dry ground to safety on the opposite shore. One more miracle to demonstrate divine power, one step closer to redemption. Now the rabbis tell a slightly different story. When the Israelites rush to the shore, Moses raises his staff and nothing happens. The people panic. They turn to Moses in fear and anger. Hamibli ein kevarim b'mitzrayim. L'kachtachnu lamut b'midbar. Was there not enough graves in Egypt that you brought us into the wilderness to die? It would have been better to remain slaves. And then a single figure emerges from the seething, panicked mass. Nachshon, the son of Aminadab, calmly steps into the water, the rabbis tell us. He walks in up to his knees, his waist, his neck, and then just as the water comes over his nostrils, when he is no longer able to breathe, that is when the sea splits in two. Nachshon's refusal to give up on the possibility of redemption, even as those around him despaired, was the catalyst for this last miracle. Walking into the water was a courageous act of faith. For the rabbis, Nachshon becomes the paragon of spiritual devotion and trust in God. He is the embodiment of the words sung by our ancestors, recorded in the best animated film of all time, The Prince of Egypt. This is a fact. This is actually not up for debate. He's the embodiment of the words sung by our ancestors that there can be miracles if you believe. Yet most Jews, myself included, are uncomfortable with this kind of faith. We are a rational people. We abhor dogma. We are cautious and critical and always questioning. Faith at best connotes a sweet kind of naivete, and at worst, a willful repudiation of personal agency that prevents critical thinking and abrogates responsibility for our choices. For a large number of reasons, Jesus take the wheel is not part of the contemporary Jewish lexicon. Our people have never been able to trust the road ahead. The obstacles that we have had to overcome teach us to keep our hands very firmly on the wheel. But I don't think this is the kind of faith that the rabbis identify in Nachshon. Faith is not the belief that divine forces will change the course of history on our behalf. Faith is the understanding that change can only happen when we refuse to accept the world as it is now as the only world that can be. God calling to Moses from the burning bush, the 10 plagues, the splitting of the sea, none of these miracles happened until our ancestors cried out in indignation, rejecting the idea that enslavement was their only future. Faith is the refusal to give into the malaise of the world. It is a critique of the status quo, an argument against, well, that's just the way things are. It is the conscious choice of hope over despair. Nachshon shows us that the only way for things to change is to believe that change is possible and then act on it. All of us are here today, all of us, regardless if you're part of the Jewish community or Jewish adjacent. All of us are here today because of people like Nachshon, folks who waded into uncertain waters because they understood that something better had to exist on that opposite shore. Once our ancestors reach the other side of the Reed Sea, they break out into joyous song, just like we did a little bit ago. This is why today is called Shabbat Shirah. It is the Shabbat when we read the Song of the Sea. Unfortunately, their celebration is short-lived. First, there is the problem of drinkable water. They are, after all, standing between the sea behind them and the desert ahead. Then there's the problem of food. The people are thirsty. They are hungry. They are tired. And suddenly, the Torah tells us, as the Israelites' resolve begins to crumble, an unknown enemy attacks them. Amalek targets the most vulnerable, the people living at the edge of the encampment, the ones who had fallen behind on the march ahead. And while the Israelites eventually emerge victorious, many lives are lost. It is a bitter triumph. Their victory is followed by a very puzzling request. God tells Moses, Ketov zot zichron, to record the following instruction for perpetuity. Record the following instruction for perpetuity. What is this commandment? That the memory of Amalek should be erased. 40 years later, when Moses recalls this moment for the Israelites as they congregate at the edge of the promised land, he repeats, you will erase the memory of Amalek. Do not forget. Erase the memory of Amalek. Do not forget. Recorded in the Torah for perpetuity. Okay, just make sure we're all on the same page here. It should come as no surprise that the rabbis have spilled a lot of ink about the paradox of remembering to forget. There is one tradition, recorded by the medieval philosopher Maimonides, that these words contain two complementary commandments. The first is to seek out and destroy all descendants of Amalek, that is, to erase his memory. The second, to always remember their enmity and hatred, lest we are caught off guard once again by people who wish us harm, that is, to never forget. The guarded paranoia of this interpretation is understandable, given our people's history of persecution. Dr. Yehuda Kurtzer writes, perhaps the Torah's phrasing wants us to be burdened by an eternal curse to remember, to feel that we will never actually be able to forget. We hold onto the memory not to finish the job, but because this victimhood reminds us to be vigilant that Amalek is still out there. It is true that there are those who wish Jews harm, a fact that I imagine many of us in this room are painfully aware of at this moment in history. But if we're to be like Nachshon, if we are to maintain our hope for a world that is not perpetually scarred by hatred and violence, we must be willing to abandon the status quo and forge ahead into uncharted waters. So I was struck by another interpretation of the command to remember to forget, taught by the Hasidic master, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Berdichev, that we should not look over our shoulder for Amalek, but within ourselves, within each of us. Yesh mitziut la'Amalek, lekoach hara bechol adam. The seed of Amalek, with its inclination, its strength, its bending toward evil, is within every human being, he writes. It is the capacity for hatred that exists in all of us, a violence of thought and action fueled by fear and distrust and despair at the state of the world. Its counterpoint, Rabbi Levi writes, is the seed of Yisrael, the courage, the will, the audacious hope within each of us that enabled our ancestors to continue the journey through wildernesses of adversity and heartbreak toward a different, a better future, even if we haven't reached that future quite yet. But look around you, some might say. Look around you. How could we hold out hope in a world filled with so much brokenness, so much ignorance and ill intent? Perhaps I don't harbor any hatred in my heart, but I am angry and I am scared. We are like the Israelites, right? Trapped between our enemies, an unforgiving wilderness, a merciless sea. Have faith, our tradition teaches us. Not a naive or a passive faith, but one grounded in the understanding that the way things are right now are not the way they need to be tomorrow. The only way for things to change is to believe that change is possible. And change is possible. We standing here today are a testament to that fact. We are the descendants of people who made impossible journeys to make this moment here a possibility. To follow in their footsteps is to resist the paralysis of distrust and despair, and instead take that next step forward. And I believe that first step begins within us. Begins within us. I imagine that before Nachshon stepped out of the crowd and into the sea, he first had to lift his heart from the pit of fear and uncertainty to a place of courage and hope. This wasn't to deny the reality of those other feelings, but to choose between that seed of Amalek that is the root of despair and the seed of Yisrael that when nurtured blossoms into hope. This is how we remember the command to remember to forget. we erase the memory of Amalek by erasing Amalek within ourselves, to find where hatred has embedded itself within us, where hatred has embedded itself within us, which can happen in small and subtle ways, and choose to act out of kindness instead, to recognize where apathy has dulled our compassion and work to create space for empathy, particularly toward those we have a hard time seeing as our friend or our neighbor, to understand where the comfort of being right, which feels so good, has limited our curiosity, and to seek out voices that challenge us and make us uncomfortable and help us learn, to have courageous conversations with each other and with ourselves, to have those conversations with ourselves, knowing that this work is for all of us, because Amalek is also the voice who says this work is for everyone else in this room but me. But this isn't a journey that we have to make alone. We can't make this journey alone. Nachshon may have been the first to step into the water, but he crossed the other side, surrounded by his people. And it was only in community, that he and the others, all those gathered on the shore, were able to make music and to hold each other and to dance. I invite everybody to rise. We're going to turn to page... We're somewhere here, folks. Page 32. I invite you to face east, towards the wall behind you. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tekela le'otzer reshit, shelo hasanu pirkei haratzot, velo samanu ki mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkeinu kahem, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. We make our way to page 33, kind of right after that arrow, middle of the page. כי המלכות שלך היא ולמאה תמלוך בכבוד, ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. I invite you to remain standing if you're remembering somebody today on their yard site, or if you're in a period of mourning. Everyone else can be seated. Take a moment to go around the room. If you want to just share the name aloud of the person you're thinking of, just bring their memory into this space. Anything else I missed? We also extend our hearts to Wendy Schumann, who lost her father Howie this week, Steve Lieb, whose father Phil died this past week, Elizabeth Posner, for her mother Carol, and Nicole Apple as well for her father. We turn to page 34 for Kadisha Tom, the Mortis Kaddish. Yitgadal, Yitgadash, Shemei Rabba,
Amen.
Be'alma Divrach Chirutei V'amlich Malchutei, Bechayechon Uv'yomechon Uv'chayei Techol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala Uv'izman Kari V'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevarach Le'olam Umei Hamayel, Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitba'ar V'yitraman V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shemei T'kudusha Brichu, La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechamata, Ta'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom v'imromav, Hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru Amen. Yehi zichronam livracha, may the memories be for a blessing. Thank you all for helping us create this space here today to bring in Shabbat together, to sing. I am very proud of all of you. You all sing very loudly and created some beautiful noise in this space. We're going to do Kiddush and Motzi. We're going to rise if you're able. We're going to do one more song after that, maybe two more songs.
Yeah, two more.
And people are invited to go join us in the lobby for some nosh and some drinks and hang out a little bit. And that's all I got. Does somebody want to hold the challah? Sorry. No, you're fine. Totally fine. It's just it's not a multi-handed deal. Yeah. We're on page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu mitzvotav v'rasavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit. Hu yom techila lemikrei kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'charta be'otanu kidasha, ikol hamim, v'shabbat kodeshecha, be'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat.
Amen.
And reveal the challah. Da-da-da-da. If anyone wants to reach their hands out towards the challah, we'll bless it together. We'll pass it around. You grab a slice. There's also plenty of more outside. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Oseh shalom b'roma. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu. so excited I spilled wine on myself.
Oh my.
This is why you don't bounce with your wine. We'll do one more song. Why not?
Yeah.
Feel free to start making your way out to the lobby to get some food,
36.
schmooze,
Shalom Aleichem.
or stay and join us for one more song. Do Shalom Aleichem.
Page 36 if you need it.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Shalem, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Shalem, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
I've never done that the super fast way, so.